For thousands of years, we have been exploring the planet we live on. As scientists send shuttles out to space to explore the unknown, there's no doubt that this is one of the most exciting periods for Earth. And despite how interesting space exploration is, do we really know about our own little patch of land we live on? Join me in discovering the difference between two major parts of our lives, the parts we all take for granted. In this, the 4th episode of the series, what is the difference between towns and cities? As the world population increases, our cities and towns have never been so busy, and there's no doubt they're all getting larger and larger. They're becoming so large that perhaps some would say there's no difference at all, but those people would be wrong. Here in the UK, there's certain criteria for both. Let's head to a town that boasts something quite special. The most easterly point in the UK, it's Lowestoft, of course it is, and despite the fact that it's got its claim to fame, it's still only a town. Why? Well, it falls significantly short of the 100,000 people that are needed to make a city. It's quite difficult to be a town. Your population has to be over 5,000, but less than 100,000. Lowestoft and Great Yarmouth both fit the bill, and so are classed as towns, not cities. Oxford, on the other hand, is definitely a city. It has a population of about 150,000, but sometimes a city with too many people becomes a problem. Pollution is a problem in many cities, such as this one in Oxford. Air pollution from car exhaust, for example, and this is a massive problem in Tokyo and the Mississippi, where smog is a common occurrence. Another way of defining the difference comes with a certain landmark. No matter which one you visit, they're always pretty impressive. They add character and history. They're so important, in fact, that nearly every city has one. What am I talking about? Well, a cathedral. You don't necessarily need to have a cathedral to be a city. In fact, 18 cities in the UK don't have cathedrals. But they do offer something, especially at night time. And I've come to Norwich. It's a clear evening, quite crisp. But the Norwich Cathedral is absolutely brilliant at this time. It's lit up and it's providing a perfect photo for that nighttime city album. Towns don't often have cathedrals, they might just have a couple of churches, but some towns often don't need cathedrals to have historic value. Take the town of Lyme Regis, for example. Lyme Regis on the south coast of England is best known as a tourist attraction because of its wonderful stretch of beach and its beachside cafes and pubs. It's been nicknamed the Pearl of Dorset. But it's the Cobb that's historic. The first reference to it was in 1328. That's only 200 years after Norwich Cathedral was finally erected. So Lyme Regis is not just a tourist attraction, it also holds extensive historic value. So in the UK, towns have populations of over 5,000 and under 100,000, and cities have populations of over 100,000. And most cities pride themselves in having cathedrals, whereas towns get their history in a different way. The difference is very clear here in the UK. I'm afraid it gets quite confusing when we go abroad. Rhodes is a classic example. It's a lovely island of Greece, very near Turkey, but its capital city is very confusing. Yes, Rhodes was very busy in the classical period. In fact, actually, the Rhodes city had 100,000 people living in it. But you wouldn't be surprised, would you? Because it was one of the biggest cities in all the Dodecanese islands. Rhodes' capital city of 100,000 wasn't known as a city in the classical ages, and it still isn't classed as a city today. Instead, the capital was split into two parts, the Old Town and the New Town. And things aren't all that clear in Italy. I've travelled to St Mark's Square in Venice. San Marco is a lovely place, really. Napoleon called it the finest drawing room in Europe. You can't be hard-pressed to see why. Full of people and pigeons, free of traffic, and lined with grand cafes. St Marco is a place to sit and watch the world go by. In Italy, a city is known as a citia, but a citia can also be a town. So to the untrained tourist, the difference between a city and a town is quite confusing. So, is there a difference between a town and a city? Well, yes. Here in the UK, the difference lies with its population and the cathedral, but that's not always the case in other parts of the world. But now we know a bit more about our own country, perhaps it is time to repack the suitcase, get on the aeroplane and explore.